Right.
Sure. We are live now.
Right. So, very good afternoon to you all. Hello,
Amitesh,
everyone,
just
and
wait for a
welcome
few
to.
minutes and then we'll start. Okay?
Great. We are yet to start, right?
Yeah, just wait for 2-3 minutes. Let participant come in and then we'll start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
Please,
sense. Yeah.
please keep the presentation shared.
We are just starting in 2 minutes. As soon as attendee joins in 2 minutes, we'll be starting.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Amitesh, you can start now.
Right. So, hi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the sixth session, the sixth webinar of WRMS Live, uh, a webinar series of Secure Farm program for improving rural livelihood. Thanks for participating, and thanks for all speakers to join us today. I'm Amitesh. I'm working with WRMS for 4 years now. I look after the corporate relations and business development activity as the vice president based out of Delhi. And I'm also joined by our speakers and my colleague from South, Mr. Karthik, who would also in between pitch in the local language so as to make it easier for all to understand the discussions and have some takeaways from here. Uh, this our SecuFund program for improving rural livelihoods, the webinar series and the program as such has been backed by and it is in association with SDC, which is the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, and we thank them for associating and backing us throughout this program. Before I start calling these speakers, I would just want to set a context to what is that we are going to discuss and what's the brief agenda and what is that you can look forward to as your takeaways from this session. Uh, so, Prime Minister, the webinar is an attempt to explain the issues and the challenges faced in creation of agricultural livelihood and also the development of existing livelihood options. And also to understand how the SecuFarm program can help sustain farmers' livelihoods and help them increase and stabilize their incomes. We'll be also trying to explore possible opportunities to collaborate for offering the SecuFarm services to farmers under different livelihood programs and with organizations who are also engaged in with FPOs and uh, uh, we will see how we can really understand that what are the challenges we can really help to deal with along with our other stakeholders at the state level. So with this background, I'd like to call Ms. Sridevi, who is here in place of Ms. Vijita, since he has to attend to something urgent. Ms. Sridevi has been with the State Agriculture Department at various positions, and she's now the State Program Manager with SERP, which is Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty, for the past 4 years. And I welcome all the speakers along with Mr. Devi once again to this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Sridevi from Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty, Telangana. I am attending the webinar on behalf of my colleague Rajita Nadedla today. Can you share the presentation, please? Yeah, our SRLM is SERP Telangana. Actually, we are working in agricultural livelihoods, but the overview for today, SERP is.
Ma'am, if you can be a bit loud for the benefit of all, probably.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
thanks.
First, I want to give you the total overview of SERP Telangana. As on today, SERP is working with main focus on rural development. It is engaged with almost 40 lakh rural households for poverty alleviation. SERP's main aim is to mobilize more number of small and marginal women farmers, and its main thing is bringing people together. And it has the capacity to mobilize more number of rural collectives. Actually, based on this experience, we have moved to farm livelihood sector. Under farm livelihood sector, we want to focus on actually people are doing agriculture, and we want to promote them like in modern technologies to improve their livelihoods and their income. Here we are mainly focusing on market linked production. That means where there is more market for like in custard apple we have taken up for we have gone for pulp extraction. This is mainly for based on the market. Like that we are mobilizing farmers for market linked production and also for crop diversification and more modern technologies like quality seed, intercropping, etc., etc. Based on the learnings of farming SHGs and motivating rural people, since the year 2016, we have been into promoting the farmer producer organizations. For this, we have kept forming of FPGs, that means farmer producer groups as base. Under farmer producer groups, we have promoted more than 4,000 groups across Telangana state so far. In these groups, around 15 to 20 farmers will be grouped together. These bodies are unregistered. And by aggregating these farmer producer groups, we are into formation of farmer producer companies or organizations. In the year 2016, we have promoted 8 farmer producer companies by identifying the areas and the major commodities in those areas and value chain promotions based on their commodities. And from 2016 to 17, we have promoted more number of FPCs added and more number of commodity based. All these FPCs are, the services are commodity based. We are mainly promoting them initially for collectivization of their commodities and marketing. And 2018-19, we have added more number, and now we are into up to 20 farmer producer companies we have promoted. These companies are being promoted under Companies Act and Max Act, depending on the situation and depending on the commodity. Next slide, please. Through these FPOs, though we are promoting more number of commodities, On pilot basis, we have promoted procurement and marketing of mango during the year 2019, 2020, and this year also we are planning to procure from 14 districts across Telangana state from 14 FPOs. And here the district level FPOs are mainly into procurement production side. By keeping this in mind, we have formed one state level company, state level federation, that is called Benishan. Benishan Farmer Producer Company started its operations during the year 2019. SERP being the incubation place, we are providing all the shadow support needed for the Benishan company and also for the district level FPOs across 20 districts. As the district level FPOs are mainly into production and procurement and sending the produce to the state level federation, and the state level federation with the support of SERP is into branding and marketing. Next slide, please. For market tie-ups, we are conducting buyer-seller meets every year before the season, before commencement of mango season, before commencement of custard apple season, like that. And we are now gained the confidence of many of the MRTs like Big Basket, Ratnadeep Supermarket, More Supermarket, etc. We'll bring the buyers and the supplier FPCs into the one platform at buyer seller meet. Based on the discussions, the buyers will express their requirements of the produce, and the supplier FPCs also will interact with the buyers about their produce, and then they arrive at some conclusions for trading. These buyer seller meetings are organized every year where we involve all the main buyers. Yeah, next slide, please. The farmer producer companies, besides doing the collectivization and marketing of produce, we are promoting them into many more activities like input shops. Many of our FPCs have obtained licenses like seed, fertilizer licenses through the agriculture department, and they are running input centers wherein the farmers can get quality seed and fertilizer at their village level without going to anywhere, and also at reasonable price and the quality produce. Besides this, we have also taken up seed production units during this year. This we have taken under Seed Village Program of Agriculture Department. By taking seed production units, we are growing the seed units, and the seed will be procured from the farmer by the FPOs, and the FPO will distribute the quality seed to the farmers of the villages at reasonable price, then below the market price. Also, we are operating custom hiring centers at each FPO level. At custom hiring centers, we have procured the equipment, and the equipment is being rented to the needy farmers at reasonable rate compared to normal prices. Also, we are running the advisory services with the support of like line departments, agriculture and horticulture departments, wherein the FPO members can get the technical advices and day-to-day advices, when to harvest, what the pest control measures to be taken up, and marketing services also we are providing them at FPO level. And beyond this, we are also planning for contract farming like muskmelon and other fruits, where we will adopt some farmers and will encourage them for cultivating as per our this thing, and then we'll buy back the produce and we'll ensure them the premium price. Yeah, next slide, please. This is regarding custom hiring centers, how we have planned and adopted for these. First, we have identified the needy blocks in districts. Blocks means mandals. And then we have conducted the participatory appraisal survey, where the villages are identified, and the villages, the needy equipment is identified. And then the staff and concerned farmers are enough trained, capacity building, and the requirement of the equipment is arrived, and then we have done the budgeting for the equipment. And the concerned staff have been trained for doing the business plan, as we are promoting the custom hiring centers on profit model. We have calculated that, like, what is the rent, what is the repairs we are getting, what is the maintenance charges, fuel charges, etc. And based on that, we have arrived at a profit model, and then we have released budget to the districts. And so far we have promoted 58 custom hiring centers across Telangana state. All the districts have identified their own equipment depending on the local situation. What are the requirement, what is the equipment needed for the particular mandal or the particular surrounding 4 to 5 villages. Like that, they have procured. Each custom hiring center is having their own set of equipment, and the rents also fixed by the each center depending on the local prevailing rates, and just below the normal rates. All the 58 centers are running on profit model, and they are successfully being operational so far. And we are planning to escalate for more number of custom hiring centers during the next financial year. Next slide. Yeah, this is actually, we are focusing on more commodities, but main focus is given so far on fruits and vegetable interventions. This is through actually 8 FPCs are from 8 districts are involved and shareholders of the state level company Benishan. The districts are having staggered production plans in their hand, and they are able to supply the vegetables to state level federation throughout the year, and a range of basket of vegetables also they are planning through the production plan. They are planning they have to cover all the fruits and vegetables throughout the season across 8 districts. And we are trying to involve more number of FPCs also into this to supply fruits and vegetables to the Benishan. And our Benishan state level company is having its own distribution center with cold storage facilities at Boinpalli Market, Hyderabad. From this DC, we are distributing the produce to MRTs in time. And we have given right to seva cards to all farmers with harvesting dates, like which date they have to harvest tomato, which date they have to harvest some fruits, so that they can minimize their transportation charges. And at Benishan level, we'll get a range of fruits and vegetables for supply. And in each district, we are having for each FPO, we have set up a village level procurement center. And we have arranged everything like infrastructure to them for grading tables, moisture meters, weighing machines, etc. And proper standard operating procedures for the daily procurement have been given, and enough capacity building programs have been done for them to maintain the consistent supply to the Benishan. And at Benishan level, 16 BODs are on board, and we have also 3 expert directors on board for their valuable advices and for proper running of Benishan. We are supplying to major MRTs like Ratnadeep, Metro, Walmart, Yellow and Greens, Waycool, etc. And also we are for mango and custard apple, we are on digital platform also, like through Swiggy. Also we just started that, and we'll continue this during this season. We are taking online orders and supplying through Swiggy. This is our procurement and supply chain. First, where the farmers of FPCs also well trained on harvesting and pre and post harvesting technologies, and where the farmers will supply the produce to the VLPC level, up to the VLPC level. The farmers will be informed about the price prior before day, and they will plan for harvest accordingly based on the price. And after supply, the amount will be paid to the farmers within 4 days. At VLPC level, the concerned staff will be there. We have also recruited the managers for VLPCs. They will receive the produce, and cleaning will be done and grading will be done, and then they will pack them in crates, and then the produce will be sold in local market if the volume is lower or the local market demand is more. Otherwise, they will supply the produce on prior intimation to the state level federation. At state level federation, the produce received will be again segregated, graded, and it will be graded as A grade, B grade, and mixed grade. And the A grade produce will be supplied to the MRTs as per the indents given by them. And the B and mixed grade will be sent to the retail traders or in the Boinpalli market, depending on the requirement.
Jaydevi, if I can request you.
By giving the low price to the A grade produce, the farmers are also being encouraged growing the quality produce while harvesting also, so that what we noticed is there is change in farmers' attitude, and they are able to supply more A grade produce to our FPOs. These are the
Jaydevi, if I can just pitch in and request you to try to summarize it in another 1 minute.
Yeah, please. This is actually our approach. This is one where we have shown the state level federation, and at district level, the FPOs as explained to you before, and as shadow entities, the SERP and our technical support agencies are supporting the FPOs and at state level and district level. Actually, our conclusion is we are encouraging for farmers, motivating the farmers to grow high quality produce, and also so that they can get better price through our FPOs at their farm gate. Thank you.
Thank you, Devi ji, and I see a great lot of body of work done in helping FPOs and creation of FPOs. There are a couple of questions, but we'll be taking them at the end of the session. Thanks for joining us once again, and thanks for your the session.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you.
I would like to call upon Mr. Anuj Kumbat now for the next session. Mr. Kumbat is the co-founder and CEO at WRMS, he's having more than 20 years of experience in project finance and risk management. I would like him to take the stage now and take us through the Secure Farm program, how it helps in improving the rural livelihoods. Over to you, Anuj.
Thanks a lot, Amitesh, and it's pleasure to be part of this program, WRMS Live Series, and thanks to other speakers and participants who have attended this program and who are attending this program today. We are organizing similar webinars since the start of the COVID, and have been doing webinars across globe, basically primarily promoting agriculture risk management among various organizations and farmers, and telling what exactly agriculture risk management means and how it can help. This one primarily what we are driving is for the livelihood and for FPOs. We have experience of working with FPOs and offering these services to FPOs in various areas in India. So I would be talking about WRMS SecuFarm as a service. SecuFarm is a risk management program which we offer to all the farmers, and we are reaching out to quite a number of them. But before I move on that, I think it is important to also talk about what WRMS is and what we have been doing. It's a fairly old organization. We started in 2004 uh, as a company which was primarily focused on index insurance, and we have been offering index insurance or weather insurance, all kinds of index insurances in agriculture sector since about 17 years. Uh, and have been part of crop insurance portfolio, whether the government program or the non-government program since then. And some of the major innovations in crop insurance have been kind of started by us. Not just in India, we are present in about 15 plus countries. And apart from providing insurance, crop insurance or risk management services, we also provide agriculture risk management services, which are primarily driven by our technology-based approach towards agriculture risk management. For that, we have about a network of about 10,000 IoTs, all manufactured by indigenously by us. We have a wholly owned subsidiary which is there for that. We have a network of surveyors as well as our own team of about 350 plus people. And in over 17 years, we have reached about 2.5 million farmers, and close to 300,000 farmers we have reached directly over the years. So in terms of growth story, as I said that we started as a index insurance or a weather insurance outfit, and slowly and eventually graduated to providing agtech services. The primary driver for us for this was basically the need of the farmer. Most of the farmer was saying that while they are happy to subscribe to index insurance services, they need to first minimize the risk of weather. I mean, if they can save the crop, that is the best thing which should happen. So we started providing services to the farmer, alerting farmer on weather events, possible weather events, also telling whatever possible disease or pest attack which can happen based on the models we have created. And this has now taken shape in the form of full-fledged infrastructure which we have across India and some other countries as well, where we are providing these services. In the latest avatar, what we have started doing is that we've understood the dynamics of crop insurance in India. And as you are already aware, most of the crop insurance solution in India are available at a village level or a block level or a taluka level. where the farmer's own risk or risk of his farm does not get covered. It's basically the area loss which gets compensated in case there is a loss to large number of farmers. So what we realize is that a lot of farmers who are doing a very good agriculture, like this program of SERP, are not able to get compensated in case of a very adverse event to the extent they have lost the money, because they are actually getting better yields, and but not getting compensation in case the yields are low on account of very adverse event. Also, there were farmers who were interested in doing more in agriculture or improving their agriculture per se. They were not able to undertake that. So that's how we started SecuFarm with that in mind. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
I think there's some delay. I think.
Can you move on to next slide, please?
There could be a lag. Maybe you can continue, I think.
Yeah, so basically, when we are talking about SecuFarm, it's primarily this program for now is supported by SDC, and this workshop and webinar is also part of that. What we are offering or what we are trying to do is that we are trying to solve the key problem which farmer faces, which is application of technology or adoption of technology. Because of the risk inherent in agriculture, farmers are wary of investing in agriculture, investing in technology in agriculture, because they do not see that if there is any risk which causes a loss, they will get compensated for this higher investment. So the probability of getting higher yield goes down because farmer is not willing to put more money in tech, uh, because of the risk associated with this. So that it's basically a vicious cycle which is getting formed, wherein farmer doesn't invest much for the fear of losing his investment if there is any adverse event, and just keeps on doing the agriculture the way it is, reduces the productivity of the farmer, and eventually results in the same cycle of risk and low productivity. So what we have understood and realized over a period of working 17 years of working with farmers is that we need to actually break this cycle and support farmer in initiating that investment. And that is when I think the slide are not getting loaded. Is there anything which can be done? So that is when the farmers have started. Probably I can load the slides if that's possible. Just give me a moment.
Anuj, I think you can continue with. I think there is some technical issue with the host. You can continue with. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. Sure. So I'll continue, and please ensure the slide gets loaded. So basically, as I said, the farmer is interested in investing, but he is wary of that risk taking which he has to do without getting a coverage for it. So what we started doing is that we started realizing this problem, and we understood that the farmer needs a security or an assurance of yield at his farm. He doesn't need an assurance at the village level or at a block level or at a taluka level. If we can assure him that he's going to get this yield, farmer would be willing to put money in it. He would be willing to take those risks, and we can support this assurance with a very good technology support in terms of advising the farmer at the right time and helping him ensure that the risks are getting minimized. And that is what we started doing. We sat with experts. We designed package of practice for the farmers, and those package of practices were then offered to the farmers as a solution to improve their yield we understood, I mean, these package of practices are very area specific. Wherever we are working, we actually analyze a take a very localized information. We put weather station at a very granular level, basically at a village level, or where we are putting weather stations. We are also putting a lot of IoT devices. We take soil samples of every farm. We do the geotagging of all the farms to monitor farms at each farm at a farm level with a high resolution data sets. And that is where basically we are using technology for helping farmer on a day-to-day improvement in agriculture for the basic things which farmers should do correctly, right from the soil nutrient profiling and helping him improve the soil, to the right selection of seeds, and also basically helping supporting farmer in terms of when he should be irrigating, how much should be irrigated at a root zone level. So these kind of services are being given to the farmer right from soil till the harvesting, and that is what we call as a secu-farm, basically advising and enabling farmer to actually undertake a better agriculture. Now the point is that a lot of companies and a lot of organizations offer these services, but these organizations do not underwrite the risk of the farmer. They do not say that, okay, we are giving you tech, but if something goes wrong, we don't know. I mean, you are at your on your own. We are saying that we are suggesting a technology, we are suggesting an outcome which you should achieve with the use of this technology or package of practice. If you do not achieve this and you have followed the package of practice, we will compensate you for your loss. So that is what secu-farm is. We are securing the farmer for the yield which he should be getting with following the right set of technologies. As I said, that starts with the farm enrollment and digitization, where we are doing a lot of Ashokji, just keep on that slide. Uh, yeah, please carry on the next slide. The earlier one, the farm enrollment and digitization, if possible. Yeah. So this is when we geotag each and every farm. We develop awareness camps for the farmers, and we explain the farmers the whole concept. And once this concept explanation happens, we explain the farmer what we are offering as a service. Farmer are suggested with some critical steps which they have to follow so that they can get an incentive on their yield. So let's say, for example, in the initial time when we start the program, we offer, let's say, 8,000 kgs of potato yield per acre as a yield assurance that if yields go below 8,000, will compensate the farmer. But if the farmer is following those package of practice properly, he's taking those critical steps as listed here. For example, in this case, potato, he's doing his soil treatment on time as per the suggestion. He's doing a seed treatment on time, or sowing on time as per the window which we have suggested. He's applying his fertilizer and irrigation on time, and he's doing basically pest and disease management as per the schedule provided. He gets an incentive in this yield from 8,000. It keeps on increasing and goes up to 9,700. So if the farmer is following all the package of practice, he has an incentive that if he doesn't get the yield of 9,700 after following this package, he will get a compensation for the difference of the yield. What he has to do for doing this is actually follow a good agriculture practice and follow the advisory the way we are providing it. And in this sense, we are also reducing two things for the farmer. One is the irrigation water use, where because we are monitoring soil moisture or moisture in the field at a root zone level, we are able to tell farmer when to irrigate and when not to irrigate. And this takes into account the weather forecast and weather parameters of the place. Second, we are able to optimize this pesticide and fungicide uses by actually doing the modeling of pest and disease and telling farmer that when is the right time to spray and when he does not require a spray. So that helps farmer in actually utilizing or benefiting out of the technology in the simplest possible way. And all these recommendations go to the farmer in three basic formats, either in vernacular SMS or a notification through application. Again, a vernacular, if the farmer has a smartphone, on his smartphone, he downloads the application and he gets a vernacular messages or notification alerts about each step. The last thing is, if farmer wants, he can also basically call our center and get the details for next steps. Farmer can, using our application, can leave questions on through an audio or a video image wherever he is facing the problem. So it's a two-way communication, just to ensure that the farmer's problems are also getting addressed. We have this two-way communication wherein the application allows taking images and audio, recording audio. So he doesn't have to write or type anything. He just has to record the audio, and he has to take a picture or a video and submit it. So in this way, we are trying to make it as user friendly as possible for the farmer. And so that's how basically we are connecting, and we are reaching out to the farmers through various partners, not just FPOs. We are also working with PepsiCo, for example, Bayer India. We are working with UPL, which is also our strategic investor. We are working with organizations like Tata Trust. We are working with there are other companies like Rallis India. We have been working with them. Indugal Fertilizer, Bank of Baroda. There are some of the examples where we are creating the farmer outreach through these organizations and helping these organizations implement SecuFarm with their partner farmers. So as I said, if you can see from the sowing advisory, where we help farmer choose the right seed and the right sowing window, again using the technology stack, which is basically consists of various devices and remote sensing data at a very granular level. We are able to provide these advisory to the farmer. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, these are the irrigation advice we give to the farmer at a plot level and at a root zone level. So it's a very precise advisory to the farmer when he should be irrigating. Next slide, please. Same is the case with pest management, using the technology, weather data, forecast, and the pest trap, which we install in all the villages. We are able to do the pest forecasting and suggest farmer, for example, cotton farmer, when the whitefly attack is possibly going to cross the ETL level and when farmer should be spraying. Similar thing we are doing in chili in Andhra, where we are actually, we have put in automatic pest trap in Guntur and Krishna districts. And we are giving advice to the farmer when the pest load is high and when the farmer should be spraying, thereby actually optimizing their spray schedule in much better way. Next slide, please. Again, in case of any adverse weather event, a very heavy rainfall or a drought condition in next 10 to 15 days, we advise farmer and give alert what they should be doing. And in case there is a rainfall likely to happen, we suggest farmer not to irrigate so that they can utilize the rainwater, delay irrigation by a few days. So these are the support and alerts which we provide to the farmer. Next slide, please. In the post-harvest management, we help farmer link with the market. We are selling and purchasing a lot of commodities and selling them in the market for the farmer. We have done that in tomato in Haryana. We are consistently doing that in Andhra for chilies. Usually farmer is able to sell his high grade chili easily. I mean, he is able to find a good market for it because they are storing it and the quantum is high. But their second and third grade chili do not fetch the price which they expect, and that is where we are helping farmer to fetch better price for those grades of chili. So the quantum is less, but then farmer is able to realize a better value for those grades. Since we already know that his high grade chili has a market and he is able to find it, we are supporting the farmers in second and third grade proper grading and selling those second and third grade chili at a better price. This is one of the examples. We are also helping potato farmers doing grading properly using technology. Similar for the tomato and groundnut, we have developed a technology for aflatoxin identification, basically using spectral sensor. Next slide, please. So this is one of the example where we have worked with potato farmers in Bengal. We have worked with one FPO in Bengal and also worked with PepsiCo. We have covered about 1,000 farmers in last 2 years, offering SecuFarm services to potato farmers. And we have been able to increase the potato yield for these farmers by 15%, supporting them also in mechanized planting. And right till the end in advising, there is a lot of high probability of late blight losses in West Bengal. So with our disease warning schedule and spraying schedule, which we guide farmers to do, we have been able to reduce those losses. Next slide, please.
I'm not sorry, Tanjay, just another minute or so, if you can summarize with the case study.
Yeah, so
I understand there was a.
Yeah, actually coming to the end of it. So basically this is another thing which we have done for cumin farmers. Again, there was a payout here because of the unseasonal rainfall. Farmer lost their crop, and we settled a couple of farmers because these were the farmers who lost the crop. Rest of the farmers actually got higher than average yield, where we have compared the village level yield data from the pre-MFVI program with the actual yield of our farmers. And most of these farmers have got a higher than average yield. This has happened in Gujarat and Rajasthan both. Next. Similarly, we are doing work in cotton farmer. As I mentioned, chili also, we are working with AP chili farmers. Next slide, please. That's it. This is our technology stack. These are the technologies which we are using, right from soft tech to hard tech, from soil testing till data analysis. We have a deep learning algorithms on cloud platform. We provide 100% traceability since each farm is geotech. So even for the output, the traceability is available for the farmer. How can we help FPOs, or how can we work with FPOs? I guess most of the FPOs are doing a pretty good job in strengthening farmer in terms of input and output and providing these services to the farmers. But what we can also add is a high technology intervention in terms of yield improvement of very specific areas which can be addressed. We can also help FPO farmers in offering this yield assurance to the farmers. And lastly, as an FPO facing the risk when they are not getting enough output out of because of the adverse weather condition, we have just designed with the support of SDC an index insurance program wherein we can cover the risk of FPO in case there is a loss to farmers, their member farmers, which results in not enough procurement product available for sale in the market. So these are the things which we can work and offer to FPOs, and we are looking forward to partnership with FPOs in across India. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. That would be all, and I would be happy.
Thank you, Anuj. Thanks a lot, and great to hear about those detailed insights in the Secure Farm program. And I'm sure we can explore more how we can plug and play this with the existing mission programs or work with the FPOs. On that note, I'll also want to introduce to our next speaker and connecting the session with the kind of work that they are doing. So Mr. Shrish Tripathi, he's the manager with PwC, Private Waterhouse Cooperative in India, and he takes care of the agricultural and natural resources profile there. Welcome, Shrish, and good to connect with you. In fact, what Anuj was referring, we in the past we've tried to connect with people working with PwC. Specifically today, since you would be talking more on the role of allied sectors in rural livelihood programs, since you work with them very closely. So over to you, and would like to hear more from you on the subject.
Thanks, Tim. So can you put my presentation there? Is my voice audible?
Yes, you are. And once again, probably there could be some delay today, as there was a so in case you don't see the slides and turning, changing, you
Okay.
can continue with your yeah. And my apologies for the technical thing, but you can continue, please.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, so actually, as per discussion with Ashok, I thought that my presentation will be more focusing on agri and allied part, but more towards this FPO, means how this FPO came into existence and what's the genesis of that, and what are the various nitty-gritties involved in FPO formation, their sustenance, and a bit of our own experience on various FPO sector as a whole. So just to start with, I'd like to give you a brief of what PwC India, because most of us know that we are a kind of accounting and consulting firms working basically on tax and other actuaries. But in India, we have a around 130 years history in advisory and different kind of services. And globally, we are present in over 150 countries with our advisory and consulting services. So under advisory services, we have a dedicated portfolio called GRID, Government Reforms and Infrastructure Development. And under GRID, there is a domain called Agriculture and Nature Resources. So PwC is the only big four firm having a dedicated domain for agriculture and nature resource and having uh, more than 50 staff who are qualified agriculture and agribusiness graduates. Ashok, you can go on next slide. Yeah. And we are known as one of the pioneers for this agri consulting in India. Most of these graduates, they come from IIM, IRMA, XIMB, and other agriculture and agribusiness colleges. And currently, we are working with a lot of IDAs, a lot of government agencies, private clients, central as well as state government bodies, and as a knowledge partner and bringing our own global expertise as well as our local presence at the grassroots level. So that is something through which we are helping our clients on various domains related to agriculture and agribusiness promotion. Yeah. So if we go by our competencies and the focus area where we are doing, we are basically giving services related to strategy, organizational services, and project related services. And broadly, the various themes like construction or the evaluation of food parks, backward and forward linkages, cold chain development, government policy formulation, evaluation of policies kind of things. Along with that, direct interventions into agriculture and livelihood promotions related to FPOs, their capacity building, our interventions in climate change, making climate resilient policies as well as climate resilient agricultures, and helping a lot of clients on this commodity value chains, their value chain assessment, value chain analysis, and then building the entire module for how to get into this value chain, go to market strategy kind of things. So basically, in ANR, we are working in all those domains, working with a lot of government departments, a lot of private players too. So if we now let me come down to this FPO. Most of us are quite aware of this word FPO, Farmer Producer Organization. Just to brief, a lot of issues we all know these small and marginal farmers face today because of this fragmented land holding or access to knowledge, access to advisory, low penetration of government machinery and systems. All these things resulting into low income realization, low realization, or lower activity. Now, to address these concerns, to address these issues, in India, we had a history of organizing smallholder farmers into groups or into certain kind of organizations. So at that time, this word FPO was not coined. It was farmers and farmers organized, anything it could have been called. Even during the British era, during freedom fights, also a lot of farmers institutions. Somehow these institutions they were mostly focused on welfare kind of things. But very recently, now we are seeing that these institutions can focus on this business aspect. That's how this FPO came into existence. I will discuss that a bit more in my next two slides. There are various legal forms of these FPOs. When we call right now, we are talking about a lot of FPOs registered under the Companies Act. So that's the most recent development which came into something around 2003, 2004. And before that, we have this Cooperative Societies Act modified into Max 2. In some places, we have a lot of FPOs registered under multi-state cooperative societies, Section 25 companies, societies, and trust. So these kind of, except producers company, a lot of other cooperative or a lot of other farmers institutions, legal formats were already there. Now, then the biggest question is, if we already had these kind of legal structures, legal forms, corporation of society, why we or why we came to form, to come with a act under the companies, or change in the Companies Act to form this FPC kind of thing. So there were few deficiencies in the cooperatives. In 2000, around 2000, when Manmohan Singh's government was there, a committee was formulated, who was chaired by YK Alag, and he was given a mandate to analyze the strength and weaknesses of our cooperative movement and come up with a kind of suggestion, what could be the better process to organize our farmers so that they can be taken out of the poverty and they can realize better price, better productivity. So after spending a lot of time with a lot of cooperatives, he came up to a conclusion that there are few deficiencies in the cooperative sectors, and those deficiencies need to be removed. But it was a bit difficult to cater all those things in the existing act. So that's why he suggested to do some kind of changes in the Companies Act and create a blend of societies and a company. These were basically most of these cooperatives are still under financial crisis. They focus more on welfare measures rather than the commercial operations. We all know the registrar is how the power of registrar can be get into a lot of troubles for these cooperatives if they want to take decision on their own. So a lot of overriding powers of registrars in these cooperative societies is prevalent across most of the societies. Then in a lot of cases, you can take examples of Maharashtra, Bihar, UP. Many times these societies, they emerge as a political weapon for various political parties, and instead of going for these economic activities or betterment of farmers, they become a vehicle for these political motives. Mostly these cooperatives were a lot of state controls, and they lack a lot of professional manpower too. So to address these concerns and these issues, YKLA came up with a solution of we need to create a blend of cooperatives as well as a company, so that a more professional effort can be given towards this farmers institution. So you can skip next 2-3 slides where we have discussed more on what kind of various things. Yeah, so this is something which we can understand. There is a bit differences in producers company and cooperative act that gives a added advantage to this kind of producers company. As in recent scenario, most of these organizations, they are incorporating the institutions as a company instead of cooperative. Like they can have multi-object, they can work across India in any jurisdiction, in any the professional inputs could be there. They are autonomous. They are just limited to the liabilities and other things which are relevant by the act only, but not to any other body or authority. And they can generate profit is in comparison to other cooperative societies. So there were a lot of added values and advantages towards these kind of companies. So that's why SFAC or NABARD or a lot of other players, they are coming up and then promoting these farmer process companies instead of cooperatives in recent time. But it's not like that. There isn't much advantages of cooperatives. Cooperatives also have some kind of advantages, and somehow a lot of organizations who are into this promotion of FPOs, they have realized that somehow these advantages need to be incorporated in the FPC too. So kind of it should be a voluntary, membership should be voluntary, the formation easiness or the low promotion cost is something due to which most of these organizations do go for cooperative. But nowadays, a lot of changes have been done in existing Companies Act, and that has also given advantage to promotion of this kind of farmer producers company. A lot of government subsidies, lot of government support, patronage is also coming to farmer producers companies, that is helping them to sustain a bit strongly in these current scenarios. Yeah. If we see the some examples or some cases where we have done some good kind of models in FPO. So we have few examples from Madhya Pradesh, from Maharashtra, from Kerala, Karnataka, now in AP, in Bihar. Maharashtra, MP is one of the pioneer state where we initiated this FPO promotion way back in 2005 and 6, and a lot of supports were given under DPIP. Similarly, in Maharashtra, MSCP, they provided a lot of support to these FPOs. Kerala government, they have their own chapter in the agriculture policy to provide support to FPOs. Similarly, Karnataka, they are providing a lot of infrastructure development kind of support to these FPOs. So a lot of state government came up with their own policies, came up with their own schemes to strengthen and support their FPOs, so that in long run they can be as a viable enterprise. There are a lot of other schemes from SFSC, from NABARD to support these FPOs. Well, most of us are quite aware of that equity grant fund or the credit guarantee funds. Then there is venture capital assistance. NABARD has dedicated program for FPO promotion, and now they are one of the most relied on agency to promote these FPOs, and they have a target of something around 4,500 FPOs to be promoted in next 5 years under this 10,000 FPO promotion scheme. So now, apart from these schemes, there are a lot of other schemes too, like union budget has given this tax holiday. So FPOs now, they don't need to pay any tax until unless they achieve 100 crore mark. Similarly, SFSC is also providing a lot of support to them in terms of MIS development or the infrastructure, or facilitating these FPCs to buy on behalf of government. Then NABARD promoted its own subsidiary Npfp to support these FPOs with the working capital and the financial things. And similarly, a lot of other schemes on MIDH or RKVY, all these schemes are now directed towards strengthening this kind of FPO ecosystem as a whole. And now with this launch of government's 10,000 FPO promotion, I think in coming 2 to 3 years, we'll be able to see a lot of changes in the whole ecosystem, and a lot of organizations, lot of players, lot of startups who are coming into this space, and they want to work with these kind of FPOs. So this is going to change the entire ecosystem, and a lot of support structures will be created into it. So that is something which is on the FPO, but I think there was some more expectation on the overall agri and allied scenario, and the FPOs can be used as a tool or used as a vehicle for the entire allied sector. So I would share the experiences of POC, and apart from that, other organizations where similar kind of work has been done. Now FPOs are not just limited to only agriculture sector. We have seen that animal husbandry, fisheries, handlooms sector, Npfp, all these sectors are coming up with this similar kind of model. In Bihar, we promoted FPOs, almost 20 FPOs working directly with 75,000 farmers into the agriculture sector. In AP, we are similarly working with 27 FPOs in horticulture sector. We have also mandated to create FPOs in the fisheries. And this is because this is the one area which is cross-cutting across all these sectors. Until and unless these smallholder farmers, who could be a fisherman, who could be a goat rearer, who could be a farmer, until and unless he is organized into a legitimate structure, he is organized into a business entity, we don't see, or we don't foresee that there is going to be a much change in his life. He individually can do a lot of things if he is capable or he has that access. But in most of the scenarios, most of the cases, these smallholder farmers, they are not able to access those resources, access financial support, or the access other ecosystem support services. That's where that's where this kind of institutionalization of farmers need to be done. If I go by some examples on Npfp, which was asked in one of the equation, I could say the example of tussar sericulture. When I was working with Pradhan, we initiated tussar sericulture way back in 2004-5, and at that time we were not at all aware of this kind of FPO structure. We promoted a cooperative, but nowadays almost more than 5,000 farmers of Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, they have been organized into a lot of tussar vikas samitis, and these tussar vikas samitis has been federated as a tussar FPO at the district level and state level. Now they have a tie-up, direct tie-up with CSB, Central Silk Board, and the other market players, where these FPOs, they are directly preparing their own DFS, disease-free laying, and then supplying these cocoons to other players who are into business of silk thread making or the fabric making. So in tussar sericulture, we can see we have examples where the entire value chain has got some interventions, and FPO or the farmer society in that value chain is a very prominent player in the spoke of that entire value chain systems, because they were at a place, they link to the pre-cocoon part as well as the post-cocoon part. So there has been a lot of similar kind of efforts in other states too. If I go by another example of say leaf plate making, earlier a lot of women members, they used to stitch leaf plates and sell it in the market. But now we have seen that there has been a lot of organized efforts.
Just
lot
a
of
time check. You can wrap it up in another 1 minute. Just summarize
sure,
it.
sure.
Just giving you the time check.
Yeah. So similar kind of efforts has been given to a lot of other sectors. We have seen a lot of goatry and poultry cooperatives. I think Kesla model from Pradhan or this Lohardaga models of poultry from Pradhan is one of the most renowned model where these poultry farmers have been organized into FPOs, and now they are independent. They are doing their own business. They have their own CEOs, own staff, own office, everything. They are not at all dependent of any other organization for their management cost. So the way next 5 to 10 years, I think still this is a stage where we are learning by doing and promoting the institutions. There is no fixed model. A lot of people are coming up with different kind of models, but we need to stick on the basics. Basics is that there should be need for it, and farmers should be willing to join hands together and work together. And if we can properly guide them, we can bring these market forces near to their farm, then that's the crux of everything. And these FPOs, they can become a viable and sustainable institutions in long run. Yeah, that's all from my side. And thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thanks, Series. It was always good to connect with you and get to know the kind of work PwC is doing. And I understand we all come from a background of passion. Also, the kind of work that we do. It's always when we start sharing our experiences, we would want to share it, give different experiences. But because of the paucity of time, probably we'll try to take something in the question and answer session if we are left with that much time. And once again, thank you. On that note, I would like to, and like all of us, so passionate about working with farmers, with FPOs. Our next speaker, Mr. Arun, who's the executive director with Chetna Organics and a very seasoned professional in the development space. In his current position as the co-founder at Chetna Organics. He also co-founded, in fact, the Non-Pesticide Management Consortium of India, and would really like to hear from him about what are his thoughts on the sustainable practices and how they can actually improve or help the farmers improve their livelihood. Over to you, Mr. Arun, and thanks for joining. You'll have to unmute your. Sorry, you're mute.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for the invitation. So, I mean, the other speakers have made it easy for me now, so I can stick to the 10-minute timeline, or even close before the 10 minutes. So let me first switch off my video because the bandwidth is an issue here. So I will just switch off the video and I'll just speak from. Yeah, I mean, when I look at the when I hear to Madam Sridevi or Anuj or Sirish, and the scale that they work on is amazing. I mean, we are just not even a speck in a farm pond, forget a speck in the ocean. So having said that, the underpinning work, Chetna's work has been around organic agriculture. So that has also ensured that we stayed rooted and small, and while our focus is more on economies of scope than on economies of scale. And organic agriculture is a complex science in itself. So you can call it organic. Somebody may call it ZBNF. Somebody may call it Palekar, or somebody may call it regenerative agriculture. But these are all part of a larger agro ecosystems work. So the definitions change. Sometimes people change the names, but I think the work around agriculture is about sustainable agriculture. And I think, looking at today's context, there is no way that you can start talking about economies of scale or economies of or even say returns over investment, because I think those days are passé. With saline soils, fatigued soils, and health issues, I think this is the only way towards sustainability, moving towards agroecological farming practices, whether it is in certified form or uncertified form. So let me introduce you to Chetna Organic. Chetna was initiated in 2004, and today it's an umbrella consisting of 16 SPOs, I would call, and along with that, there are 2 registered not-for-profit FSOs, or farmer support organizations, because we always wanted to create an arm's length distance between entities that would provide all the socio-technical and institution building or and support to institutions like the SPOs, or you can call it small producer organizations, or farmer producer companies, or mutually aided cooperative societies, or self-help group cooperative societies in Orissa. These are all more or less market oriented, in my opinion. So for ensuring that there is a distance between one that provides hand-holding support, techno extension, versus the other that works on aggregation, processing, marketing. So that is why we have created these 2 separate systems. Of these 16 SPOs, these are basically, we are a second grade organization, as the term it, or a grade 2 organization, which means that the local level SPOs that we form at cluster level, whether it could be a farmer producer company promoted by NABARD, or supported by NABARD or Tata Trust or others, or even a Max in say Adilabad, versus these are basically these 15 have federated a national level producer company in Hyderabad called the Chetna Organic Agriculture Producers Company Limited, which is like the mother SPO, or you can call it a farmer producer company. But what we also believe is that the farmers don't own something that is far off, because we work in 4 rain-fed, I would say ecologically and economically distressed regions, rain-fed distressed regions of Orissa, South Orissa, Northern Telangana, Maharashtra, say Vidarbha, and Andhra Pradesh. So we believe that the farmers should own the institutions that are close by. They usually own the institutions that are close by. And similar to what SERP has done, setting up farmer groups and then federating them into local FPCs or MACs, and then these have federated themselves into the mother company. So the directors are from those, they're nominated by the local producer companies into the national company. So the national company does all the national company is the one that looks at trading of the processed goods, in some ways also processing it, and the local FPOs are the aggregators and also processors. So that is the system in which we work. At the same time, we realized that over the 15 years that we have been working, or we've been initiated, if livelihoods or enhancing life quality is also about building farmer community resilience, and that can only happen through a 360-degree convergence intervention model. It can never happen through focusing on a single crop or focusing on just agriculture per se. So I think our work is more about agroecological approaches plus agri and non-agri allied enterprises, food and nutrition security, and now I've also entered into education, school education, and linked to financial inclusion and building strong, sustainable, traceable supply chains, because organic is all about traceability, end of the day, whether people want, where is that product coming from. Then critically, I think farmers have always been invisible in this whole space. And I think they have to be equal stakeholders when we talk about supply chains. I don't think in many cases farmers are equal stakeholders. So we believe that in the entire supply chain system that we have built around food or fiber, we have made farmers equal stakeholders. So they negotiate, they stand in the same platform to negotiate. Coming to the socio-technical part, I've heard, I mean, when I look at the work that WRMS has done on POPs and all that, it's amazing. But unfortunately, in the organic agriculture space, POPs are a bit complex and difficult because we believe in providing farmers with a basket of options where they can choose from the locally available resources to develop their own inputs. Because POPs, ecological threshold levels are passé. Because crops have their own, compensation abilities, plants. So I think that is more suited for a chemical-based farming systems, but in an organic-based farming systems, it's very difficult to generate a particular POP and enforce it on farmers, because end of the day, it is about local resources. Coming to our work on convergence, because I think being a small NGO and working mainly with small funds, though we have worked with big donors like Tata Trust, NABARDS, SERP, then also with Government of India, MORD or others. The problem is that our funds are always going to be small. Two, when you work with the government projects, they are big, yes, very interesting to work, but the challenges are equally high because funds come later, releases are later, then we face challenges in terms of implementation on time, paying salaries to staff. So these are something that have been our learning over the years, because we have burnt a lot of money in some government projects, which have not yet come back to us even after 6 years of the closure of the project. Then the civil society role is becoming is shrinking more and more in the current Indian space. I think that is somewhere we should work, because the civil society organizations are the ones that have greater access and greater reach to local communities. I think, and they're also more effective monetarily and also culturally more effective, and they can optimize resources better. On the other thing, one of our learnings was that, I mean, Sirish spoke about those FPCs in Madhya Pradesh, the work that was done in 2005 during the MR, that was the DFID funded rural livelihoods program in Madhya Pradesh. The learnings that most people didn't probably realize is that when those FPCs were set, there were CEOs who were put in place, financial officers put in place. The moment NRLM came into place, all these CEOs were made consultants in NRLM. So some of these FPOs had struggled to maintain their sustainability, because end of the day, the minimum handholding period for an FPO is about 8 to 10 years. So if anybody tells me that we will build 10,000 FPOs, we'll promote 10,000 FPCs overnight, whether it is through NABARD, whether it is through SERP or any other horticulture scheme or rural development scheme, and say we will then expect them to become sustainable and become business-like in 3 years, I think they are kidding, honestly. Because these are small farmers. How do they run? Because FPCs also have their own challenges. How are you going to meet the statutory compliances, taxation, statutory compliances, filing returns? All these things are also extremely complex for smallholder farmers. So I think that needs to be taken into cognizance. So handholding, we should not promote them as a fad. I think that is something that we have seen and learned, because people say that there is no tax for FPOs until they cross 100 crores. Yes, it's on paper, but there is we don't read the small lines into it. There is still something called the minimum tax, because our FPO is now a 30. Our head, hello. A mother FPO has a 35 crore turnover, and we are paying taxes on it, because otherwise the link does not open unless we actually put up the tax thing. So these things are not even taken into cognizance. The other thing is that when the one of the reasons for moving from cooperatives to FPCs could be that in an FPC, when you go to a loan, approach a bank or even Kisan for a loan, you are supposed to file network certificates. You are supposed to give a collateral guarantee or a personal guarantee. How many farmers would give that? So that would entail I would say, the expert directors on the board taking that risk. Why would an expert director take the risk of giving net worth certificates and also taking the risk for non-payment or even loan being not paid? So these are some of the challenges that we don't try to go through and try to promote this in a scale. They might be looking very good in terms of scale, but I think there are challenges with it. But for us, being a small umbrella with about 16 FPOs directly promoted by us and being handheld, I would say across the 16, out of the 16, 10 are now functioning on their own without any funding from our side. We have ensured that they have fixed assets like warehouses.
Just hold on. Sujay, I think
कैंसिल हो गया बोल रहे आपका ट्रांजैक्शन हुआ कैंसिल हुआ
हेलो
कैंसिल हुआ नेट ही नहीं आ रहा है तो वापस करो हो गया सर हो गया क्या हो गया
Sujay, can you hear me?
just a second
Yeah, if you can just thanks.
yes sir
Sorry, Arunji. Yes, please continue.
Yeah, for Chetna being a small umbrella, promoting 16 itself was till date is a challenge because of various factors, funding, human resource. Having said that, 10 out of the 16 are now self-sufficient. They don't take any fund. They are managing their own staff, including all of them have assets. They have their own lands, training centers. Some of them have large-scale warehousing centers. Dal mills, rice mills. I think for us that was important because the ownership lies when farmers have assets. When they don't see assets, there is no way why a farmer, even in a village, would come to a training center of an FPO to be trained under a tree. I think these are something that we need to look at when we build FPCs. I think the asset creation is critical. And of the 16 FPOs, the turnover range is anything between 1 crore to 5 crores, with one FPO doing 35 crores business. And in Telangana, out of the 155 FPOs or FPCs that have been identified, and a study conducted by Center for Economic and Social Studies, CES, 15 FPCs have been identified as reasonably sustainable, of which 2 have been highlighted for being sustainable. One was Mulknoor, which got a #1 rank, and Chetna producer company was given the 2nd rank, while we are far away from, miles away from Mulknoor, to be honest, in terms of size, scale, and also experience. So I would say that we should see FPCs as a great opportunity, and we should see the work of NRLM, SERP, the big work that they're doing as critically important. At the same time, we need to also see that we need to move these FPCs towards sustainable farming and processing, because end of the day, farmers cannot just be recipients. They should be equal stakeholders in supply chains, and they should move from only selling their raw produce to processing to, like Sirish said, moving to poultry. But I would even go to the extent of not broilers, but actually backyard goateries, because we need not do any more pilots. These are already models that have been proven to be successful. So the opportunities are there in collaboration. And for Chetna, we do about 70 marketing of 70 food crops with our own warehousing and processing centers in Hyderabad. And we do cotton. We also export. We do processing, and we export cotton out of the country. We have our own licenses. So Having said that, last year during COVID, we made a loss of 60 lakhs. Loss in the sense, in the books, yes. So it has come down to by 60, 70 lakhs during COVID. So these are things that we should be speaking openly when we talk about sharing learnings. Then Ashok will know better, but we also have our own customized MIS and app systems in place, measuring over 100 impact indicators across socio-economic and environmental spaces, including biodiversity. And all this from farm to market is captured through, is totally captured, data captured. And geotagged payment is always through banks to the farmers, no cash, and everything is geotagged. So that is something that we have put in place with a firm that Ashok was earlier associated with. And then most importantly, at Chetna, we also have two key non-negotiables. One is that we don't allow input marketing because I think input marketing is only replacing traders with farmer cooperatives. So what we do is we only do output marketing. Two, we don't take any funding from seed, pesticide, mining companies. Thank you.
Thank you, MG. And I think I remember you started that Chetna was a small drop in the big ocean, but I think it's a sizable drop. And the kind of work that you guys are doing is commendable. Marketing of 70 crops, having processing units, and also thanks for being candid that you've made certain losses. But I think those are only learnings that one can take and build upon that. Thanks for giving such deep insights into this and your thoughts on this thing. I'll call upon Mr. Nilaya to as our next speaker, and also there were certain questions which if I think time permits we can take it in the next 15 minutes. Mr. Nilaya, he's the principal consultant with Sankalp Advisory Services, and he is involved in supporting and facilitating FPOs in Andhra and Telangana, and they are also involved in providing livelihood programs to the vulnerable sections. So over to you, Mr. Nilaya, and welcome once again.
Thank you so much, and good evening to all of the friends here working on the agriculture, agri-allied sectors, and with the small and marginal farmers. Thank you. And since most of the issues, especially the technology side, is being addressed, and the sustainable agriculture side is being talked, and so let me just bring in the 2-3 other areas that have not been brought in. One, the sustainable agriculture in connection with zero budget natural farming, which is being implemented very successfully in Andhra Pradesh. That's one thing that I wanted to bring in. The second one is the small and marginal farmers promoted FPOs in Andhra Pradesh and their existing work. And there was also some mention about the non-timber minor forest producers cooperatives. So I would bring in these three elements since most of the areas are covered. I thought I'll just bring in this. In Andhra Pradesh, the government of Andhra Pradesh has promoted this zero budget natural farming concept in the year 2015 under the leadership of Mr. T. Vijay Kumar, who was as well CEO of SRLM, Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty. He was also the Director for National Rural Livelihood Mission. After that, he took over this zero budget natural farming issue or the concept in Andhra Pradesh, which is successfully implemented in 13 districts of Andhra Pradesh. Basically, the zero budget natural farming addresses climate change and the regeneration of agriculture. These are the two issues that has been addressed, and with keeping in view of the soil health and biodiversity in the backdrop of this. This is mostly implemented in dryland areas, agriculture areas, and rainfed areas, and also in the forest areas it's been implemented. Presently, the name is changed from ZBNF to AP Community Managed Natural Farming. So this is this is one model where the small and marginal farmers are being really using this facility. And I had the opportunity of meeting some of the farmers in Anantapur and other places, where they said, I think by introducing this method, they said four important points which I have noted from their words itself. It has drastically brought down the investment on agriculture itself. So reduction on investment on agriculture has drastically brought down, and their dependency on the fertilizers, chemicals, and all those things have been totally wiped out. That's one thing. Then yield is definitely increased, and they also said that I think compared to the last yield, there is improved. They're expecting some better yield in the next 1 or 2 crop sites. The third one they said is environment and ecological side. They themselves said, I think they did this kind of, this one area is they were very happy. Then their soil conservation and those methods, they said they are really helping this thing. So the zero budget natural farming, which is known across Andhra Pradesh, is one sustainable agriculture practice slowly coming up in Andhra Pradesh and picking up very well. Even the government of Andhra Pradesh is also trying to do that kind of a work and supporting the farmers. And luckily, the farmers implementing ZNF are also forming farmers producers organizations, and they are part of the producers organizations. And their produce that comes out of ZBNF has got high market values, something like our organic produce kind of a thing. So in fact, they are also looking as this produce has come from ZBNF market. So this is one good thing that is happening out of ZBNF. Now coming farmers producers organizations. See, Andhra Pradesh has a peculiar community-based organization strength. Right from 1990s, where we were talking about sanghas, large level of sanghas. Maybe some of my friends who are in the group know this. We had, before 1995, we had youth sanghas with 60, 70 women or men in the groups. Now, after that, we have a social mobilization program where we brought in women self-help groups of 15 members in which women self-help groups in the social mobilization program. Then the SRP has come. So Andhra's strength is also the farmers, producers, and organizations, which is coming up for the last decade, I don't know, even less than a decade, which is really picking up very well. Andhra Pradesh and both Telangana and Andhra Pradesh states are doing very well in this. In Andhra Pradesh, the FPOs are registered in 2 categories. One is with the Mutually Aided Cooperative Society Act, 1995 of Mutually Aided Cooperative Society Act is being used widely for promotion of the FPOs as a legal entity. Then the second one is the Companies Act. These are the 2 that are working. Then the major role players in this are the NABARD, SRP is the major role players from the government side, and the NGOs are implementing these projects. Now the community-based organizations have been put into this place and they are working well. Most of the FPOs are now categorized into one is agriculture side. Horticulture is really picking up very well in FPO side. Agriculture, horticulture, fisheries, dairy, then others. But basically, agriculture, horticulture, fisheries, and dairy are really picking up very well in Andhra Pradesh. And for your kind information, we have. Since I was one of the promoters, the chief promoters, where we have promoted a FPO with the Adivasis in Araku. Not even in Araku, closer to Araku. This place is called Paderu. In this place, we have mobilized Adivasis, both men and women, and then we have been two conditions. One, the non-timber minor forest produce that is come would be processed and would be sold by the members of the FPOs itself. So that is what we are doing there. Then the second one is even the agriculture produce also we are slowly trying to market through the FPO. That's agriculture produce is taking a little longer time, but whereas this non-timber minor forest produce is coming up very, and that is also has got good market values. We need to really upscale that, scale it up to large level. That is one challenge that we have. Now coming to the issue of the FPOs, I think basically good quality of seeds is one issue that we are really facing, and fertilizers. I'm talking about FPOs who are not part of the HRBNF. Then agriculture inputs is one area. The output is we don't have processing units in the areas that we work. So I think it is leading us a lot of transportation costs, then marketing issues, and again marketing competitive price or better price is not being assured. People only talk about minimum support price. I think the whole concept of minimum support price needs to be linked with the competitive price for the farmers. That's one area I think that needs to be looked in when it comes to the cooperatives. The other issues again in the inputs is credit. Then credit is also, see, unlike our unlike our thrift and credit activities, the FPOs capital on in their own capital is very limited, and the credit availability of the credit itself is a big issue, because they are not able to access credit during the agriculture season. They borrow money from the money lenders, and money lenders really, I mean, after the harvest season, they come and dictate the terms and buy the produce. I think that needs to be really addressed within the FPOs at larger level. Though we are making some effort, I think that is one issue that needs to be addressed. Then now I wanted to come into the other areas where, when we talk about small and marginal farmers, I think we need to definitely address the issues of Dalits and other marginalized sections of the society who have got whose land holding is very, very minimal, 0.5 acres to, I mean, which is half acre to 2 to 3 acres of land. So how are we going to bring these Dalits, SCs and SCs and small and marginal farmers, especially the marginal sections of the society, into the FPO is a big challenge. Somehow in this whole process of FPOization, now the government is thinking about farming 10,000, government of India is thinking about farming 10,000 FPOs. Where are these people going to be? Most of the SCs and STs are agricultural laborers, which means their agriculture contribution to the production of the agriculture is 80%, but their land holding is much less. Not even on an average, not even 1 acre or 0.75 acres. So this is one issue that we are addressing. How are we going to bring the Dalits and the marginalized sections into the FPO where their needs are met? Because for these people, agriculture is an important activity, but it is not a source of income for them. So what they do, apart from agriculture, they also do agricultural activity. In fact, in their own land, they do a cultivation after cultivating the landlord's lands. So which means for their lands, agriculture is secondary. First is agriculture landowners' land, then they will cultivate this one. That is one. Then the number of wage days, even in the agriculture sector, the number of wages issued for the agriculture is not mentioned anywhere, excepting in NRA through the government source. So I think that is also one area we need to look. And our the major challenge in us, how are we going to bring SCs into FPOs and make the smallholder farmers profitable organization? That is an effort that we are making in Andhra Pradesh with at least 5 to 6 FPOs that we have formed in. We are struggling because, as all of you know, that we are the creators of the wealth, but ultimately the wealth is not in our hands. So I think that is one area that I leave it to open, and we are working in that direction. Thank you so much, and look forward to listening your queries, and I will be very happy to answer the queries.
Thank you, Mr. Nilaya, and I think
Thank you so much.
it's great to have you, as one of the speakers in our session. With that, luckily most of the time we are left with only 5 minutes or so towards the end for question and answer sessions. Since we have time and it also allows us, I assume Mr. Arun would have left because he had a medical emergency to attend to. First of all, I would like to thank all the speakers, all the panelists to take out time. And at the same time, for 1 or 2 minutes, we also have Mr. Sujay Oja with us, who's also an agri consultant and dairy industry specialist with us, and has worked with various missions and FPOs. If he can come in just for a minute or so, his thoughts on the topic, and then probably there are a few questions that I can ask the panelists to respond to. Will you be able to come in, Sujay?
Thanks, Amitesh. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sujay Oja, and I'm a agribusiness advisor with WRMS since a few years now. It's been a pleasure hearing to all the speakers on the subject, and it's always enlightening to get different viewpoints on probably a subject which is close to the heart to all those people who are passionate about farming and farmers in general. FPOs, of course, is an extension of providing that kind of strength and leverage to the farming community by providing them with a collective opportunity to roll out their thoughts, their processes, their products, and of course the services. I've had the opportunity to work with the dairy board companies at Anand, and have associated with Dr. Kurian's Anand Patent Cooperatives for some time. So the strength which is associated with the farming community. Having said this, with this new age formula of providing these kind of FPOs and FPCs with the strength to talk about themselves without the use of any middlemen, that is most welcome. I know Mr. Arun had raised a very valid point about the financial feasibilities which are associated in building up the functional strengths of the FPOs, which was also one of the questions which I wanted to ask, and have raised it for either Ms. Rajita or Ms. Sridevi to answer that. I mean, like, how would they see the support given by institutions like SCRP and the SFAC in providing stability to FPOs? The point was that in spite of having the right kind of produce available with them, and then having an access to market by some form of linkages, at the end, it's also the market which starts governing the requirements from these FPOs. So when these FPOs start talking to modern trade formats, and then the question comes in that will there be the right kind of grades available for the produce which comes from them? And then what are the quantities? Many a times what happens is the grades may be available, but then the quantities are limited. And also when the quantities are available, then the modern trade decides that, okay, I won't pick up so much. And then what happens with the remaining produce? So it's more like opening up it's about opening up their produce to all sections of the buying agents, which includes modern trade. And then therefore, the market forces come into play. So have we equipped the FPOs with addressing those market forces appropriately? And if yes, what would they be, so that the other FPOs can also learn from that? Or if it is a gradual process, then what is it that the FPO should take care so that these things they are able to overcome over a period of time? I would like to leave it at this and maybe allow the speakers and other participants to share their views. That would be all, I think, as of now. Thanks, Amitesh.
Thanks, Sujat. Thanks for coming in at a short notice, I would say, but it's always good to hear from you. I see there was a question for Sridevi. I think she has already picked it up. But if I can just, for the benefit of the attendees also, ask her if she can elaborate a bit on that uh, for all. We just wanted to understand from a perspective of SERP as an organization, that how the operational feasibility of the FPOs work out in terms of the financial health, and also what's the kind of support that has been extended in helping them function. If Sridevi, if you are there, I see that you've typed it, you've sent some response. Uh, would you be able to elaborate a bit on that if you're still there? Parallelly, there was another question which Nilayji had touched upon in his session, but if Sirish, you are there, this was to you also, that if you can share the examples of some of the FPOs that you are working, of FPOs working in TFPs, and if they are doing, how are they doing, if at all you've had such experience with the non-timber forest products.
Yeah, actually from my side, from SERP, we are supporting the FPOs initially through seed grant, which we get as a fund from NRLM for FPOs. And basically through the activities as explained, we are trying to make them self-sustainable in 2 or 3 years. We are initially giving seed fund to all the FPOs for their operational costs, infrastructure, and HR, etc.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah.
I understand, and I think it kind of gives us the answer, and we'll get to know more about this. Shirish, are you there? I think Shirish is not there. So we there was a question for Shirish. There was another question from one of the participants for Shirish, but I think it goes more with the AP market. So it was whether the FPOs are linked with Mandal stores like AP or IGP. But in your case, are the FPOs linked with the Mandal nodal store, or is there a structure like that in Telangana also? Okay, probably we'll have the few set of questions sent out to the respective speakers for whom they were posted on in the chats, and we can get back with the responses. Uh, the question session is open for participants if anyone want to ask that. I would also want to inform you all that the session is currently live on YouTube, and we'll be sharing the presentations also that participants, the speakers had shared with us. And this will be available on the social media also.
Amitesh?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to ask one question from Nilayya ji. As he has mentioned that some of FPOs with whom he is working is from Araku Valley. I just want to know what are the major crops over there, and how FPC is marketing the produce of farmers.
Sure. Nilesh, would you be able to take that?
Yeah,
Right.
I
Right.
think the major crops that are grown in the millets are grown there very at large levels. Then the pulses are grown at large levels. The pulses, millets, paddy. These are the traditional crops. Then apart from this, the non-timber managed forest produce. The imli, that's tamarind, and other produces that are grown. What we are doing is, as far as imli is concerned, the tamarind is concerned, we are processing them at primary level and selling it to the open markets. That is one thing that we have. Coming to the general produce, we are trying up with the local markets, and we are also working with various private ventures where they are trying to help us in the processing units. I mean, over a period of time, I think we are planning to work. But this FPO is fully owned by the Adivasis. Even the CEO is also been from the Adivasi communities, where people like you and like us go there and help them at from outer side level as facilitators. So this need a lot of inputs, both from the input sides and output markets. These are the two areas that we are trying to work. But these are the major crops is the pulses. Then we have paddy, then millets. These are the crops that we have there.
Thank you, Nilesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
My next question would be from Sridevi ji. Sridevi ji, I would like to ask one thing. Do your FPC or self-help group have a value addition facility with them?
Definitely, with some of the products we are doing value addition also. Actually, grading is also part of value addition, what we do for all vegetables and fruits. And for custard apple, we are doing processing.
Okay.
And for mango, we are procuring raw mango and ripening it in Ponchanda, and then we are marketing. We are planning a lot of value addition like chili, turmeric, etc. Maybe this year.
Okay. One more query I'm having. As you mentioned that some of your FPOs is having value addition facility in horticulture and horticulture crops. So how they get the subsidies or financial assistance from the department or from SFSC?
Actually, we didn't go for SFSC also so far. From the seed fund, they are procuring the, for example, custard apple, we have procured the required machinery from the seed fund and making pulp extraction.
Okay.
And in some places, we are seeking the support of district administration also. For example, for millets, in one district, they are providing from the Rudban funds all the millet like processing machinery.
As I know, NRLM also has some funds for setting up of value addition facility. If you highlight some schemes, then it would be great for us.
Yeah. Sure, we'll explore that in future.
Sure. Thanks, Sridevi. And since you are here, I think there was another question which one of the participants had asked, which if you can take it up, which is, I'll repeat it again. It's like whether the FPOs we are working with, are they linked with the Mandal nodal stores, like TRAGP, if at all.
Excuse me, is that question for Telangana?
Yeah, so since that was for AGIRP, I'm just checking with you whether are there in for Telangana, is there anything such which is where the FPOs are linked with the stores, or is there a structure like that?
What is that? I didn't get you actually.
Yeah, so are the FPOs linked with the Mandal stores of the Rural Inclusive Growth Project?
The project was there before with us,
Okay.
but it is discontinued now, and we are totally getting support from NRLM funds.
Oh, okay.
The TRAGP project was there before, I think before 2017-18, and after that it's discontinued.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So that answers for the participant who had asked this. And
Yeah. It was
I
there
think with that,
the initial 8 FPOs are promoted under TRIGP only, Rural Inclusive Growth Project, and then they are brought into the fold of NRLM consequently.
got it. Thanks. Thanks for taking those questions. With that, I think if there are no more questions from any of the participants, these were some of the questions that were there. One question posted on the.
Amitesh, one more question from Shridevi ji.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Shridevi ji, I would like to know one thing. How do you feel SecuFarm is best fit in SRLM or SRP projects?
Pardon?
How do you feel SecuFarm solutions are best fit for your self-help group or farmer groups?
Yeah, maybe for digital services for income enhancement or risk management, we may look forward to. Because we are highlighting on those things, no?
Yeah.
Right. So Ashok, I think we can have we are left with only 4 minutes, and we can close it on this note. And if we have many more questions, and there will be questions from some of the participants also, we've seen in the previous sessions, we'll put it across to all the speakers, and we'll have their responses sent back to the participants. Once again, thank you and thanks to all the participants, all the panelists, for giving us time and being a part of this session. We look forward to connect with you all and get back to your queries, and also connect with all the stakeholders in this. Once again, thanks to the speakers and the panelists. A good day to you all. We'll end this session here.
Yeah, thank you very much for the takeaways of the webinar, and we look forward to connect again. Thank you. Thank you from my side.
Thanks all.